They've got places there at the back for you. You're welcome. Welcome to the adventure. The journey has begun, and we're going to be traveling through some familiar places in your inner world, places that you know about, thoughts and emotions and dynamics in your inner world that you know about. But you will also meet a few unfamiliar places and experiences and dynamics in your thoughts and also in your emotions. Sometimes you'll be surprised in this journey of the beauty that you find, the highlights and the landscapes inside of your inner world that's really beautiful and mind-blowing. But sometimes it could also happen that you will become aware of some darker areas that you don't know of and that plays a role in your inner world and everyday life. And that's part of the journey. But the journey invites us to open up to what's happening in our inner world, but that also opens us up for the outer world, awakening. And that's the invitation for our course. So if you invest in your inner world, you can just imagine what the effect could be if you invest in living with more awareness or more compassion. And there are a lot of inner attitudes. And if you can learn to live with those attitudes, it will have a huge effect on your life, on your moods, on relationships, work. And the other thing, if you invest in your inner world and your inner being, you will see there's really potential that should be unlocked in your inner world, like inner peace, and you'll see it's closer than you would think it is. Inner wisdom is available to us. Compassion and insight is available to us. A stability. And then something that's really dear to me is connectedness. The more that you connect with your own inner world, with truth, and with the same attitudes that you connect truthfully with your inner world, you can connect with the world around you and with people around you. It gives you that opportunity. And also, you will experience some insight into unhealthy dynamics that we pick up because you are on this journey and you're following the inner workings of your thoughts and emotions. And the more that you get to know it, you will sometimes be surprised, wow, this habit just repeats itself over and over. I've been doing this for years and I never picked that habit up and I didn't work with that. So it can give you some insight into some of the unhealthy, but sometimes also the healthy and beautiful thoughts. Most of the times, actually, I think when people do a course or come to church or whatever, they usually look for the things that's wrong. Welcome, Megan. You're thinking of and looking for problems that should be fixed. But if we really open up our awareness, we will also become aware of the beauty and the positive processes and dynamics in your inner world. And you can work with that. And I think the last thing that I want to invite you for this journey is it will be a journey where you really find and discover a new identity. And that sounds like a very short word, but it's something so deep, because I think that is where the crux of most of our problems lie. It lies there because we create our identities from superficial stuff and from usually things from the surface, but not from the depth. And on this journey, you will find a new identity. So that's the invitation for our adventure. Just to clarify a few things. The first thing is that there will be a few didactic or teaching moments, as I've done the previous time. But as the course process goes further on, then I will do less and less teaching parts, because these kind of things are actually very difficult to really grasp. It's difficult to explain because, yeah, there are many times not words for that. It's something that you've got to feel. I can tell you, let go of your thoughts. And say, yes, I must let go of my thoughts, or I let go of this, but to feel the effect of when a thought or emotion come, and I can be with that thought and how it feels to let go, and what the inner mechanisms is, and what changes at that moment. I can't do that just by teaching. So we have to do exercises to create new brain paths. So don't see me as a lecturer. I'll be the brain gym instructor. So, and I will do the exercises with you. So I'm not the guru. I'm just one of you that's on this path together, and we're sharing this path. Last, just clarification on spirituality. The Art of Life Mindfulness Center that we just started here, we really want to invite and be open for the whole community. So the way that we approach it on spirituality is that we really want to be inclusive of the way that people have their own faith and their own beliefs. So most of the presentations will be with utmost respect for people's own faith path and where they are, or even without any spiritual basis, so that we really want to empower people with that. There will be, and I will present a few Christian contemplation events, and there will be other occasions where I would like to share with you the theological base for why mindfulness is actually also part of a good way to live your spirituality, because being present with nature, with people, with yourself, that's where you find God. But we are going to go through this, and you will experience there is this connectedness that will grow, because in spirituality we understand God, or the present one, as always present, and we are the ones that's absent. So that's the invitation. The more we can practice to be present, there is just new connections growing. So, Mary Oliver, a well-known poet, ends her the Summer Days poem with this very interesting and inviting sentence. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? What is it that you are planning to do with your one wild and precious life? How valuable do you see your life and your time, your energy, your gifts, so that you can make the most of the moments? Every day is full of so many gifts that's lying there awaiting you. And we go past those gifts so many times. But if you wake up, and if you are really aware of how precious your life is and how valuable every second is, you can wake up to that. And even, have you ever thought of thinking, how do you handle adversity? What do you do when you feel like a deep sadness coming over your life, like a wave? Do you have any idea how do you deal with it usually? Or did you try a few things and some things work and other things doesn't work? Or if you feel anxiety, have you ever just had, what process can I do when I'm in this state of anxiety? Or you hear that you're sick, and the only thing that people sometimes do is say, okay, let's pray. Okay, let's pray. But God gifts us with so many resources that we don't practice. And there are so many resources available in our inner world and around us. And even sadness. We experience sadness sometimes. But what do you do with that if you find it in your inner world? Do you have just think about it? Do you reflect about it afterwards? What did I do today with my sadness? And how was it? How did it play out? So it's really a presence to the really valuable and precious life that was given to us. Many of the self-help courses that people present, they usually start by telling you that you are so bad, you are so you need so much, and this is where you should be, and you're just here, and so the gap between reality and the dream is so far away, and then they try to just get you to that place, and you never get there usually. In this course, I'd like to open you up to and invite you to be aware of the closeness of so many resources. Yes, life is difficult, and I will say that after 3 months, we're going to do this in over 3 months, you will be older. Sorry, yeah, there's no escaping that. Me too. Sorry. And the possibility is that your financial situation could be the same or worse. So I'm not going to promise you that. Even emotionally, it could be that some things, even depression, gets worse. Even thoughts and some challenging thoughts could still be and will still be there. You will still have sick children that you worry about. People will still be deceased. So it happens. That's part of life. So the promise of mindfulness is not to be free of suffering, not be free of all this distress, but mindfulness is a beautiful invitation how to be with myself and in this world in the midst of the difficulties. It gives us totally new way. So in the one hand, nothing could change in 3 months, and nothing will change. Suffering will still be there, and you will be older, and all the other problems will probably still be there. But in another way, everything will be different. If you really go through this process of being with events and people and your inner world in a different way, everything will be different. Even if the sadness that you have today, in 3 months' time, and you can just approach it differently, sadness will come again in 3 months' time, but the way that you experience it, the way that you use some of the skills, that could be different. So, I think the invitation I want to read. Sorry, it's a little bit small there, but I think you can hear it from Dorothy Hunt, and it gives us just a small glimpse and an invitation of what I just said about the problems will still be there, but what is inner peace? So it's actually focused on what inner peace is. Peace is this moment without judgment. Do you think peace requires end to war? Or tigers eating only vegetables? Does peace require an absence from your boss, your spouse, no please, or yourself? Do you think peace will come some other place than here? I mean just here. Some other time than now, in this moment. In some other heart than yours. Peace is this moment without judgment. That is all. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Peace is that moment without thinking that it should be some other way, that you should feel some other thing, and that your life should unfold according to your plans. Peace is this moment without judgment. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. So yeah, that's a weird way perhaps for you to start and to listen to how things are. But I want to really invite you on this path and to be on a different level, to listen to a different level, to be touched by peace and stability on a deeper level that where we usually look for peace. Usually we want peace that all the circumstances should just change, or my emotional waves should go away, or my monkey mind or any other things should go away. And then I have kind of bad news. Yes, we will work on that, but the deeper peace, that's even deeper than that, that is possible, and we can live from that deeper space. So we started last time with the introduction, and I think all of you did the introduction. If you did not do the introduction, it's a good idea just to follow that video. It's on mindfulness.art. So the most well-known definition of mindfulness is the awareness that arises from, now listen to the two parts, awareness that arises from paying attention in a particular way. In the present moment, non-judgmentally. There are two parts every time. Paying attention in a certain way. Being in the present moment, how? Non-judgmentally. So there are two parts to it. In the other one that we looked at, of Rob Nyron, mindfulness is knowing what is happening when it's happening, the presence, no matter what it is. So there is a way of being present. In the Chinese word for mindfulness, nian, it's got two parts. Now, presence, and heart. Something about the attitude. So if you forget everything that we do over these 6 sessions, or you're in your bed this evening and say, oh, he said so much, what can I remember of all? Just try to remember the 2 wings of mindfulness. It could be, let's say it's affectionate attention. That's a way to describe it. Or let's make it like this. You can say it's compassion. And there are a lot of attitudes that we will work on, but it's very well, you can put it all under affectionate or compassion or kindness. On the other hand, we got attention or awareness or presence. So with those 2 wings, if you approach everything in your life, at least with these 2 wings of really being present where you are with what your inner life, with kindness, with compassion, and we will practice that, because it's not always the normal way. We have habits that makes us be not present and not using kindness or whatever. It's so interesting. One of the beautiful words that's been used in some of the literature on mindfulness is the word kindfulness. That's a beautiful word for me. So that's also, just for interest's sake, that's where our logo comes from. The Center for the Art of Life is, you will see the wings, the 2 wings, and the A and the dot. I also present the dot B course for high school children. We're busy at this moment, or halfway, and we do the dot B. That dot is just to stop. Is stopping and just being in that moment. So that's just, you will see this logo many times, and the idea is just that this logo remind you of the core of what we're going to be working with. On the one hand, the mindfulness basics, it's so simple. It's just presence with affection or with compassion. But as we will see this evening, it's not always that easy. So I'm going to go a bit further than we did in the introduction on the 1 wing for today. So we spoke briefly on awareness and the importance of awareness, because awareness connects us with our emotional life, with our physical messages, our physical life, with our the reality of our finance, in people around us, at work, and so spiritually, intellectually, and also with nature. And if we're not aware, if we're unaware, it cuts off all those connections. And just that, if you just grasp the impact of living unaware, cut off from your own body, and the whole time, like now, where you're sitting now, you are receiving messages from your body. If you're really just a little bit attentive, you'll find, oh, wow, this is interesting, there is it, and there's it. The whole time your body gives you messages. And that happens with your inner world, it happens with the people around you. And if you live unaware, disconnected, that's really, and I felt it was really the thing for me moving from South Africa here again. A lot of things were experience of disconnection, but that's only the way that your mind presents it to you, because actually we are connected. And the more that you practice the basics that we are deeply connected with each other, with ourselves, with nature, then the disconnection just goes away. And that's the deepest connection. And what happened, we spoke about, we fall into this habit of autopilot, of just living unaware. And living cut off from people around us. That's what we did last time. So I want to take a next step of another problem that we have on the one wing. So on the other wing, on this wing of attention, I'm going to read you a very, very important part written by Eckhart Tolle. I see you've got a book for me here. But it's really impactful, and I'm going to go a bit slow through it so that you can get the idea and see what it's all about. So, the greatest obstacle to experiencing the reality of our connectedness, just to stop there. So, he said there's a huge obstacle that stops us from our connections, as the previous picture that you saw. What is that? Let's look. Okay. So, the greatest obstacle is our identification with mind. Identify. That means that we find our identity, we connect, we accept our mind as it is without even just thinking about it. So, identification with mind. Welcome, welcome. She said she's going to be a bit late. She had something else on. So, welcome. I'm Pat. So, our greatest obstacle in experiencing our connectedness is because we identify with our thoughts and our emotions, which causes thought to become compulsive. And this incessant mental noise prevents you from finding that realm of inner stillness that's inseparable from being. It creates a false mind-made self that casts a shadow of fear and suffering. Okay, let me just go a bit slower with this part. So, the problem it says is that that breaks the connection is our identification with our mind. We believe everything that comes up in our mind. Let's say we see all the thoughts as a Facebook feed. You know how Facebook, there's just a lot of thoughts coming up the whole time. So our thoughts will come up about this, about that. And as you know, some of the Facebook feeds, it's real and it's true. But other things in the Facebook feed are hoaxes and fake news. And that's also true with your own mind. You'll see that the more that you look into your mind, how you create catastrophizing things and how you really, the way that your mind creates ideas about people. I think the next one will clarify that a bit more. Identification with mind creates an opaque screen of concepts, labels, images, words, and judgments and definitions that blocks true relationship. It comes between you and yourself, between you and your fellow man and woman, between you and nature, between you and God. And this is the screen of thought that creates the illusion of separateness. So, the one problem is not being aware. The other problem that we have, is that we believe all our thoughts and emotions, and we identify so closely with that because we think that is who we deeply are. We are our thoughts, we are our emotions. But what that creates is we have labels, ideas, and images. I've had this idea about Kurt. And when I meet Kurt, I don't meet him how he is today, because I've got all these labels and ideas about everything in the past, about who he is and how he is, what he's going to do. And he's always happy and he's always in a good mood. And so I don't even ask, how are you now? Even though for 50 times he said, everything is going well. So my mind meets this situation with images and labels and ideas of what's created here, but not reality here. If I'm present, I will ask, how are you, Kurt? For the 52nd time. And he said, I'm okay. For the first time, the other day I had somebody that said that. And I said, I hear it's not so easy. And then suddenly the person opened up. Because you see, that happens not just with people, but with food. We have labels and ideas. Let me give you a very good example. It happened Sunday night. We had the .B course with the high school kids. We had a very interesting practice. So I gave them chocolates, and they could eat either chocolates or strawberries, and to be present and experience the taste of it. And all of them said, oh, that was the best chocolate ever. Because usually you just eat the chocolate and you don't taste it. Because I know how chocolate tastes, but they didn't taste this one today in this moment. But then I handed out jalapenos and lemons, cut lemons. And I gave it out to them and say, okay, if you've got the the nerve or the courage, take a jalapeno, or okay, otherwise then just a lemon, and eat it, and see everything that your mind creates. Suddenly you're kind of afraid. Suddenly you create, oh, this is going to be so bad. And how interesting it was. Afterwards, one of the adults came to me and said, this was totally amazing. I thought it's just going to be so bad. My mind created this very bad. And when I really just tasted it, it wasn't that bad. You see, that's what we do with so many things in our life. Every day, oh, it's Sunday, so it's going to be this and this. No, this is a unique Sunday. And it's a unique, every day is unique. It's like, sorry, I'm going on many things, but we've got 6 weeks. But just for, I have for one of the interesting things that I've really enjoyed about being here is looking at leaves. I know it sounds like Mr. Bean. What do you do for a life? I look at paintings. You remember that movie? But okay, so I went down at the stream. There was a beautiful area where we're staying, and I just sat and I looked at the way that leaves fall. And some of the leaves, they go like rhythmy, like somebody is dancing. They go like this, just swerving down, and then you get these kamikaze leaves. Then you got these leaves that want to go as far as possible. They just as far. Then you get these that just fall. They go down. And then you get those that change direction. But it's so interesting. Every leaf falls differently. And if you just don't look at leaves with your false mind make labels and judgment and thoughts in the past. And that happens in the outside world. But that happens even more in the inner world. That impulses and emotions and things that we just take for granted without looking closely. Where does this come from? And can I be with myself? And how am I with myself? And it really creates screens between you and yourself, because you've got these ideas about yourself, not truth, ideas. And you just think it's true. You just accept it as it is. Even about God. We meet God through labels and images, not in reality. Feeling God's presence resonating in our veins, in the energy in your fingers, In so many different places we can experience God, but we meet God in our labels. Okay, then the last part of that is, this is the disease. You believe you are your mind, and this is the delusion. The instrument has taken you over. We believe, we believe you are your mind, and this is the delusion. The instrument has taken over. Because we are more than our minds. And really, if there's one thing that Eckhart Tolle over and over says, that the problem is that we give our thoughts and intellect, we make that the center of your lives. We put that in the middle. It's very important. It's extremely important. But if you work with this instrument, not who's in control, you don't put the thoughts alone in control. You have such a life. That's really, just imagine you just accept all the thoughts that comes up. You can't. You have to work skillfully with thoughts, and you can even work with it that it can be more focused and more attention and more creative. But you've got to work with it, but that's not the deepest you. So the freedom that comes when you practice, and that's where I'm going towards, is while we're practicing mindfulness and thoughts come and you get to look at thoughts. Who's looking at thoughts? Who is looking at the thoughts? And can leave a thought and come back to something else. That bond that we have, that's binding us, that identification with mind just becomes a little bit less strong. So that you can look at thoughts and let it go easier. Every time that you can let it go, it's easier to let it go next time. Or to be aware of it more than you've been aware of it previously. This is in Cape Town. There are trees all over in Cape Town because there's a wind that it's called the southeaster. It's always blowing in the same direction. So habits, and that's exactly what happened with these habits of being unaware that we started with, and the unhealthy inner dynamics that we just spoke about, that it becomes a habit. And we need to work, and now we're going to see what are one of the ways. It's not what is one of the ways. I think there are many ways to work with your inner world. To go to a psychologist is a very good way also to do it. There are so many multitude of options. So mindfulness is one of the ways that you can do it. And I'm going to show you a short video just to show you how can we work with our thoughts and emotions so that you don't identify with it, that's not the core of who you are, but you can work skillfully with your inner life. Let me put this a bit closer.
Training the mind is often quite different to how people imagine it to be. Maybe they have an idea it's about stopping thoughts or eliminating feelings, but the reality is a bit different. An easy way to think of it is to imagine yourself sitting on the side of a busy road, the passing cars representing the thoughts and the feelings. All you have to do is to sit there and watch the cars. Sounds easy, right? But what usually happens is that we feel a bit unsettled by the movement of the traffic. And so we run out into the road and try and stop the cars, or maybe even chase after a few, forgetting that the idea was to just sit here. And of course, all of this running around only adds to the feeling of restlessness in the mind. So training the mind is about changing our relationship with the passing thoughts and feelings, learning how to view them with a little more perspective. And when we do this, we naturally find a place of calm. Will we sometimes forget the idea of the exercise and become distracted? Of course we will. But as soon as we remember, here we are, back on the side of the road again, just watching the traffic go by, perfectly at ease in both body and mind.
I think that's a very important metaphor that we could keep in mind. I just put the sound there for the people following us live stream. So I think the invitation that we see in this video is getting to a place where you can be in a stable base, grounded, to look at your thoughts and emotions without being drawn into the traffic. Or the thing that we usually want to do, oh, here comes a very difficult emotion or thought. I want to stop it. You run into just, oh, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. Or you get carried away. You get hijacked by something. And that's all natural. But if you can practice more and more, and it takes really some time, and I think all of us, we all have the skill to be more aware of our thoughts and emotions as they come. Oh, is that emotion again? Interesting. Yeah. Okay, there he goes. And you can even, I told the high school kids, I want to invite you to look forward for, if they're in this week, there's going to be a difficult emotion coming. So, okay, I wonder which one is going to be. It's going to be interesting to see, okay, oh, I feel alone maybe. Let me see, how can I just be with aloneness, you know, the two wings? Let me see, how does it feel in my body when I'm alone? How do I react? What thoughts go with aloneness? How does this emotion really feel like? What's the colors? Just investigate, be with aloneness. Without all the filters that we usually have, oh, this is aloneness. And with lots of compassion, we'll come to that later, it's very important. It's not, if you are only present to criticize yourself, you're creating all the problems that was seen in the video. So we are going to do that. We're going to enjoy this. I'm going to show you just quickly what we are going to practice now. So we are going to practice to be the observer of thoughts and possibly also emotions. You can write it down if you want to, but you can also just try to remember. So it's going to be very easy. You're going to sit on that rock of the video that you see. We're going to start with a nice stable base, and you are going to be the observer of your inner world, really being curious, what thought's going to come up? And what's going to be the first thought? That's really what mindfulness is. And that's what meditation is. Many people think, oh, meditation is a hard thing to be done, and it's difficult. And so it's actually very, very interesting. It's going on a surprising journey. Okay, what thought is going to come up first today? Or which emotion? Or even a physical sensation. And we're going to practice how to be the observer of your inner world or your sensation. So that's the first part of what we're going to do just now. Then we're going to practice a skill, how to move your attention, the point of your attention, the focus point. So you will be focused, and that's the rock, or the home base could be the breath. So that's going to be the point of attention. Then it's natural. We are made, our brains are made like that. You will be caught, and your brain will go somewhere, your thoughts on your focus will go somewhere else, and that's fine. And all you do is just when you, after a few minutes or a few seconds, oh, my thoughts are already running away and it's so far away. So when you get that, and then you can bring back attention. It sounds so natural, but that is such a skill. If you can practice that more and more and more, you'll see the power that some of these thoughts had over you, and emotions is not the same anymore. So we're going to just get that a sense of how it is to bring back my attention. It was there, now I put it here. Then we'll see how far we're going to get to this, but it's also interesting to find the point of arrival of thought. How it usually goes. You're looking at the traffic, your thoughts, and it's like there's nothing there, and then suddenly a car comes, and you with it, and there you go. But how long does it take from that point of arrival for your inner world, your observer, to say, hey, you're not focusing on your breath anymore, and to be how close to the point of arrival can you catch yourself? And don't worry, if it takes long, it's fine. That's the door. But it's so interesting that you can practice your observer, train your observer to be very aware, to be closer of the arrival of thoughts and emotions. Okay, then the cycle of thought is also something very interesting that you will notice. If you're the observer of your inner world, you'll see a thought just arrives, it just comes up from somewhere, And then there's like a way that the thoughts will be going. It's got a path, and then it just dissolves. It's so weird. In most emotions also, it comes and there's a life, and then it dissolves. And that's so interesting also to notice, because we think thoughts and emotions are solid. And so for instance, I'm so angry, and then you'll see it comes and it goes. Even some of the very deep and negative emotions, they come and go, they come in waves. Even things like depression, there are depths in depression, but then it's a different way, so it comes in waves. So the cycle of thought is also very interesting if you're an observer, to see how it comes, there it goes. That's why you can't grasp onto it. It's something that comes and goes. You can't fixate your identity on your thoughts and emotions. It's waves that comes and goes. If you are more focused, if you bind your attention closer to observer, that's aware of all these things, then you will find more rest. Okay, then other very interesting thing that we can observe if you are the observer of your inner world. And now we're on this journey, the adventure of looking into our world and seeing how the dynamics works. One of the things that you'll see is some of the thoughts and emotions that come up is we react with attachment. It's like Velcro. If that thought comes, it just takes me away. 10 minutes later, I'm actually busy with meditation because that emotion is so strong. And if that happens, how do you react to that? How do you respond to that? With the two wings? Oh, I'm being present with kindness. This was a very, very successful meditation. Even though for 10 minutes you've been on this journey with the thought, because what I realized is this thought is really strong. And I get to attach like these thoughts. So then it was a successful meditation, but you came to the point where you became aware of what happened. So meditation is not, again and again also, not clearing the mind. It's being the one that's stable and observing whatever happens. So that's the one way that you will see your inner world reacts to that. The other way is ignorance. There are some thoughts that we don't like, some emotions that we don't like, and we try to ignore that. And so if this one comes, no, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm just going to ignore it. Not investigate, not being with. Being the observer on the rock means I'm interested in all the traffic. I want to know what is happening. It's not being ignorant, looking away. Oh, no, I don't want to look at this. I don't want to be with this. Even sadness and all the other emotions that we're usually not interested in. Okay, and the other one is rejection, just outright rejection. If that emotion or thought comes, you feel it inside. Oh, wow, look at this. When that comes, that's the inner reaction. So the last one is just, we'll end with the feeling of just being present with acceptance and compassion. Let me just see what time it is. I think we are close. Yeah, okay, great. That's perfect. So, would you like to try it for a while? Are you ready? Okay, so let's do this for a while. I'm going to go through those, not all of them, just some of them, and just practice for a while. And I'll try to lead you in. You're going to be the observer of your inner world and your emotions and sensations. So to begin with, I think it's very important to have that stable base, as a home base or the anchor from where you can perceive your inner world and your thoughts and your sensations in your body. And that's why we really, it's good for you to have a very good practice of having a good posture, because the posture is an invitation to have both, on the one hand, dignity, being awake, like really dignified and awake. On the other hand, being at ease as well and being restful, relaxed. So you can be both. It's like if a guitar string is strung too tight, then you don't get any sound out of it. And if it's too loose, you also won't get it. It's just that good balance of being awake and being relaxed. So that's why it's also a good idea to have your feet flat on the ground if possible, And just to feel the connection with the earth, because it is necessary, because sometimes there are really difficult emotions and thoughts coming up. And it's necessary not just to jump into, oh, what's inside? First, make enough time and effort to be sure, the first part, that you are sitting in your posture in a good way that's aware and also relaxed. The other thing is feeling the connectedness with the earth or your chair, and you can also use spiritual connectedness of presence. That's, I think, also an important part. And then a good way is just to start with a nice few breaths. So we're going to just do that base first to make sure that we are stable, and then we're going to be observers of whatever is going on inside. Okay. And I will ring the bell again, the sound bell. A sound bell is an invitation for our focus and attention that will be running all the way just to come to the sound. So just bring your awareness to the sound, but that will be later. So let's just start. If you are okay with closing your eyes, you're welcome, or just lower your gaze. So lowering the gaze or with eyes closed. You can just sit with a dignified and relaxed manner. And let's take 3 deep breaths, and with the exhaling, I'd like to invite you to let your body really relax, as if the air and the tension just flows out through your body into the earth. So nice deep breath, slower and deeper. And in the exhale, you can just melt, relax, let go. And another deep breath in. Melting, relaxing, letting go. And the third time, focusing on the breath, just getting out of the thought cycles into the physical sensation of breath as you let your breath go out, relaxing and melting. Feeling your feet on the ground now, feeling connectedness. You can even imagine roots growing from your feet into the earth. Feeling connectedness with a chair, and feeling a deep connectedness with the present one. Let us use our thoughts for today as a home base, a focus point, and then naturally thoughts or emotions or sensations will come. But let us now just focus on the flow of air into your body through your nose, coming down the throat into your chest and your lungs, rising and falling. In your own rhythm, not deeper or longer, just the natural rhythm, feeling and being finely tuned into the sensations of the air flowing in and out, following the path of the air flowing out. Noticing whenever you get any thoughts coming up and popping up into your mind, oh, this is the interesting thought. Okay, this is the first thought. And then with a kind attitude, just letting go of the thought and bringing your awareness back to the breathing. can also be a sensation in your body, maybe a pain or tenseness in the body that comes as a message pulling your attention, and then you focus on that and just being aware of that sensation and moving the point of awareness away from that sensation, focusing again on the breath. In the silence of the snow bowl, the snow goes down and we can see clearer if there are any prominent emotions or thoughts or sensations. Even if you feel tired or you fall asleep, that's fine. How do you approach it? With two wings. I'm aware that I'm tired, and I give compassion to myself that I'm tired. And I don't stay in my head with that. I'm feeling it in my body, letting it go, bringing it back, your focus of attention to the breath. If your thoughts or the focus of attention is not on the breathing now, with inquisitiveness and curiosity where it is, bringing it back again to your stable base, your lookout point, resting in this home base. Let us try to focus on our heart area now, just to get a feel of the emotional weather conditions in your emotions. If you don't feel anything specific now, just register neutral. If you feel excited, just pick that up. If you feel relaxed and peaceful, whatever the weather pattern is at the moment in your deepest emotions, just try to finally pick it up, being aware of it, being with whatever you find without trying to fixate on it, to be attached to it. You don't have to reject whatever you find. If it's something negative emotion, just be with whatever you find with curiosity, presence, and kindness. And just for the last part of our practice, I want you to just play with an attitude to experience what the effect of that attitude has on your inner world. Whatever you find coming up, try to create a kind of rejection or a negative reaction to that, and try to push it away. So whatever comes up, just for a while, feel the effect. If you get a thought and you try to push it away, or a sensation in your body perhaps, maybe a pain, try to push it away and see the inner turmoil and the effect of frustration the negative energy coming from trying to push it away when it comes up. And now for the last part, whenever something comes up, embrace it with a welcoming attitude. Even if it's something negative or not easy, welcome whatever message you get from your body sensations, emotions or thoughts, welcoming it, being curious, noticing. I'd like to invite you, if you are okay with that, if you prefer to do it on your own, you're welcome. Just for a short while, could you reflect with the person next to you, just about what did you experience? Did you pick up any sensations, physical sensations, or any emotions or thoughts? You don't have to share, that's personal, but just to get an idea that what happened, to reflect on it for a while. So if you don't mind, is it fine if you two can talk together? Would you two share together? Would you two share together? Would you two share together, please? Could you two share and you two share together? And I think you two together? And could you two share together, please? Thanks. Just reflect for a while. And for those of you following at home, it's maybe a good idea just to write down, reflect on what happened. Did you pick up any thoughts, and how did you react to the thoughts and the emotions, and weird feelings that came up? Could you, the person talking, just finish your line of thought, please? Okay, last few words on inner peace and what inner peace is and how we can live more with that. This is a well-known picture usually that you find that people on the one hand says that this is the human, his mind is full, but the dog is so beautiful. He's mindful, he sees everything. But there's something wrong with this picture of the way, it's like a very superficial way, and it's because on the one hand it's true, many times our thoughts, we have a lot of thoughts of other things, and that blocks our relationship with that, that's true. But if that person is aware that I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas coming up as I walk there. At that moment that he is or she is aware, that person is mindful. So it's not just the dog that is mindful in this picture. The moment that person is aware, this is where my mind is, and I can be with that. That's mindful. So this is not just mindfulness, this is also mindfulness. So that's also with inner peace. So every time we return to the meditation support, we weaken the compulsive cycle. That's why we do meditation. So that compulsive cycle of everything just going and going and going, it takes you over. But the more that you can sit, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, and I will send you links to meditations, and I will record a few in the time in between that you can use. Even if it's only 3 minutes, just to practice how to relate differently to my inner world and to my thoughts. That's all. It's just so that every time, and that's the nice thing, many people think, oh, I can't do meditation. My thoughts just goes away the whole time, like 1,000 times in 5 minutes. If you say that, you've got the best practice. You know, like I'm a gym instructor, the more that you do it, the better your muscles become. If you only do 3, then it's not much practice, you know. If you had 5 minutes and your thoughts only went away 3 times, you had 3 times to practice letting go and see what comes. If you could do it 1,000 times, that let go muscles get stronger, and your relationship with your thoughts is different. And then, as Rob Naren said the following, he said, at the moment of arising, we do not have to pick up a thought or emotion. See, that's what happened. There will be thoughts and emotions coming up. So at that moment of arising, we don't have to pick it up because we practiced that. We did it. Oh, yes, there it goes. I'm not going to go because I know how to work with it. I work the skill. Freedom from thoughts does not mean no thoughts. It means that thoughts come and go freely. We don't latch onto them. See, that is just that skill. Just imagine if you can have the skill that thoughts and emotions can come and go and say, oh, this is stress. And that can be. It's fine to have stress. I'm going to be with my stress, but I'm not going to latch onto that and react to that. I shouldn't have stress. Or I get caught up by that because you practice it. And incredible brilliance suddenly comes to mind. Okay, I'm stressful, but I'm the observer and I can be on the side and I can still be with whatever is inside. We experience a wonderful sense of resilience because inner states not no longer matter, but no longer matter. It just in the sense of your deepest peace. If a really horrific thought comes up, it just arises and passes, and we just observe it. If a really wonderful, blissful thought arises, it's quite okay. It just arises and passes, because the other thing is what we do. If we get a nice experience, we grasp onto it. No, you see, that creates again. Oh, this is so nice. Oh, I love this piece. I was just going to grab to this piece. Then you create by grasping and rejecting. Just see, oh, here comes the peace. Okay, and there it goes. Here comes a wave of joy. Take it as it comes, and there it goes. You see, we don't grasp on it. And if a thoroughly boring space arises, that's how it is. So I'll end with a video, just not to end with something boring, just to show you in practice. I just stand close by for the people that's following there. It will show you in practice how this will make a difference, and that's how we end.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction.
Identification with
Just a little bit
mind.
of mindfulness. In that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts. I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
So, my friends, my fellow companions on this journey, may you in this week be present with yourself and people around you, and may you be compassionate and kind, and fly through life. We'll see each other next week, 7 o'clock. Thank you for joining. Thank you.
Is it next Thursday?
Next Thursday, 7 o'clock, yes.